honor was the deadliest lie ever told in feudal Japan. Behind the gleaming katanas and noble proclamations of Bushido lay a world where brothers sold brothers, where lords murdered their most faithful servants, and where the very code that promised loyalty became the weapon of choice for the most ruthless betrayals. What you're about to discover will shatter every romanticized notion you've ever held about the samurai, because the truth is far darker than any Hollywood fantasy. In the mist-shrouded mountains of 16th century Japan, Takeshi Yamamoto knelt before his master's severed head, tears mixing with the crimson pools beneath him. The man he had served for 20 years, the daimyo who had raised him from a peasant boy to a respected retainer, lay murdered by his own trusted inner circle. But this was no random act of violence. This was the inevitable conclusion of a web of deception that had been spinning for years, with threads reaching into the highest echelons of samurai society. The Sengoku period, often called the Age of Warring States, wasn't just about territorial conquest. It was an era where betrayal became an art form. While poets sang of honor and loyalty, the reality was that survival demanded the very opposite. The most successful daimyo weren't those who inspired the greatest devotion, but those who mastered the delicate dance of knowing when to trust and when to strike first. Consider the chilling case of Matsunaga Hisahide, a man so notorious for his betrayals that even his enemies spoke his name in hushed whispers. This master manipulator didn't just switch sides once or twice. He made treachery his signature move, betraying the Miyoshi clan who had elevated him, then turning against the Ashikaga shogunate, and finally defying even the mighty Oda Nobunaga. His fortress became a theater of elaborate deceptions, where tea ceremonies masked assassination plots and poetry readings concealed military intelligence. But perhaps no betrayal cuts deeper than that found in the tale of the 47 Ronin, though not the version you know. While history remembers Asano Naganori's loyal retainers who avenged their master's forced suicide, the darker truth reveals how court politics and deliberate provocation led to that fateful moment. Kira Yoshinaka, the court official who insulted Asano, wasn't merely arrogant. He was part of a calculated scheme to destroy a rival domain. The honorable revenge that followed was itself steeped in political maneuvering, with some of the 47 harboring their own hidden agendas. In the shadowy world of the ninja, betrayal wasn't just common, it was currency. The Iga and Koga clans, supposedly bound by ancient codes of secrecy, routinely sold each other's secrets to the highest bidder. Families that had trained together for generations would turn against one another for a handful of gold or the promise of territorial gain. The most skilled assassins weren't just deadly with their weapons, they were masters of emotional manipulation, capable of earning complete trust before delivering the killing blow. Even the legendary Oda Nobunaga, the demon lord who unified much of Japan, fell victim to the very treachery he had perfected. His most trusted general, Akechi Mitsuhide, struck at Hanaji Temple in 1582, surrounding his lord in flames and ending the life of perhaps Japan's most ruthless ruler. But Mitsuhide's betrayal wasn't born of sudden madness. It was the culmination of years of humiliation, political calculation, and the growing realization that his master's paranoia would eventually target him. The women of this era were equally capable of devastating betrayal. Lady Nene, wife of Toyotomi Hideyoshi, orchestrated the downfall of several rival concubines through elaborate poison plots disguised as generous gifts. Her delicate hands, which served tea with perfect ceremony, had signed death warrants for dozens of perceived threats to her position. These tales reveal a profound truth about power and human nature. The higher the pedestal, the greater the fall. The samurai era teaches us that codes of honor, no matter how noble, cannot overcome the fundamental human drives of ambition, fear, and self-preservation. The most dangerous betrayals came not from enemies, but from those closest to power, those who understood their target's weaknesses intimately. The Bushido Code, with its emphasis on loyalty unto death, created the perfect cover for treachery. Who would suspect the most devoted retainer? Who would question the motives of a sworn brother? This is why betrayal in the samurai era cut so deep. It weaponized the very virtues that held society together. These dark chapters of Japanese history remind us that behind every legend lies a more complex truth. The samurai weren't superhuman paragons of virtue. They were flesh and blood individuals navigating a world where yesterday, his ally could become tomorrow's executioner. Their betrayals weren't anomalies. They were the inevitable result of a system that demanded absolute loyalty while offering only conditional protection. The next time you see a samurai film or read about Bushido honor, remember Takeshi kneeling in that pool of blood. Remember Matsuhide's flames at Honnoji. Remember that history's greatest lessons often come wrapped in its darkest truths. Want to uncover more shocking truths about history's most romanticized warriors? Subscribe now for more untold stories that will completely change how you see the past. The real history is always more fascinating than the legend, and far more dangerous.